Hi guys, welcome back to my channel again with a new video. So today I'm going to be reacting to Billy Haynes, My Story, official mental health documentary. So Billy DM'd me and he was just like, oh, I'm a small YouTuber as well, so we got talking, we've been talking all day, and I just asked him, do you mind if I react to this video? And he said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. So now we're going to react to it. He did warn me though, he said that I might cry because it's a very emotional story. So I can already feel my eyes watering. So I am, and judging by the title, I can just see this is going to be really emotional. Are we ready to get into this? Guys, let's go.
I'm Billy, I'm 17, and I'm here to talk about my story of depression.
I like how this is filmed. Brave, Billy, for doing this, by the way. You should be really proud of yourself.
Louder.
Like that.
So, let's start at the beginning. Tell me about the moment your life changed.
So when I was 13, I was just walking home from school on a normal day, and I got in and just everything was missing from my house. My mum was just crying, and she told me that my dad had been arrested, and obviously at the time I didn't know anything really. And after sort of a few weeks, I found out that we'd had our house stolen because someone stole our money. My mum and dad were struggling with bills, and they came to this guy that said he was going to help us, and then he just kept taking money and money, which led to us getting evicted. And obviously it just came on me on that day, and we was sent to live with our nan and granddad, which led to a lot more problems and things. But yeah, so I was 13 and didn't know anything really, and yeah. Right, so yeah, we was walking down here. It was just like a normal day. It was sunny. Yeah, it was just a normal day, and then I got in. Everything was just missing, and my mum was sitting there crying. Obviously, she told me that I wasn't gonna live there anymore. And yeah, it just hit me like that. It was tough.
To be told that at 13 years
it was just a normal Monday at school. Like, it was just it's tough. Just come and hit me like that. But, yeah.
What was it like growing up in the house?
Yeah, it was alright. I lived here my whole life, which I think made it a lot harder when I obviously got evicted, because I've not known anywhere else. I've come home from school, and my primary was up there, my secondary was down there, and then every day I'll come here. It's the same. I get in, Xbox, yeah, just sleep, and then the same again. But it was good living here. But I think that's why I made it so hard when we got evicted. Yeah, that's good. It was fine.
Does it look any different to what it did when you lived there?
No, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. My room was like a little bit there. Yeah, I still come back here.
He seems older than what he is. I think it's because he had to mature quite quickly.
Even everything's the same. It's mental. We were coming down up on the road playing football all the time as well. Going over there to play football at the park. Yes. Well, I shouldn't be here, but...
No.
The guy that got you help, was he a family friend? Did you know him?
No, so obviously I didn't know anything to do with it until it happened. My dad had just met him from somewhere, I don't know, just met him. And that's what people like that do, they just take advantage, don't they?
That's what I meant earlier when I said.
So because of everything that obviously happened to you, from your bill problems to being evicted to your dad going to prison, would you say at the young age of 13 you had to mature? Because obviously you have siblings.
Yeah, because obviously when stuff like this happens, I couldn't do anything about it. So obviously when I moved in with my nan and granddad, it was tough having my mum depressed, my brothers who were 9 at the time depressed.
Twins.
I would get in from school and just do nothing but cry for hours. I couldn't do anything else. And then having to see my mum cry every night as well was probably the hardest part of it. And having my nan and granddad sort of take everything out on my mum because they didn't really like my dad, and then my brothers saying they wanted to kill themselves, my mum saying she didn't want to be here. All of that sort of gives me a responsibility as sort of the only man in the house at the time.
So
yeah.
You mentioned your grandparents. You obviously said a bit about how they weren't supportive of your dad and that.
Yeah.
What was it like living with them? What is it like? You still live with them, don't you?
Yeah. At the time, yeah. So at the time when it first happened, it was horrible. Like you can imagine if you're living in a house where everyone hates each other essentially. Like everyone, like I would get in from school and they'll just be shouting at my mum. My mum didn't do anything wrong, but they don't like my dad, so they're gonna take it out on my mum. And they'll try and convince my mum to divorce him, try and like get to my mum's head, and they did. They made my mum depressed, and that's one thing you never forget. Even now, sitting here, you never forget things like that. And
you're so brave.
I remember them saying they'd threatened my dad in front of my mum, in front of me, and yeah, it's hard.
They're still together, your mum and dad?
Yeah.
Good.
Mum and dad
love always wins.
They'll always be together. But they're strong. We're strong. But this whole thing
made you
as
like,
hard as it's been, it makes people stronger. It makes us stronger. So.
Yeah. So kind of moving on from that, obviously you're talking about being strong and stuff, but because of everything that happened, you did get depression.
Yeah.
When abouts did it start?
I'd say the moment I walked into that house and everything was missing. Because when, like at the time, I was happy, you know. I've just won Player of the Year and a captain my team to like a trophy in football. I was like the World Cup was happening at the time. Like, everything was just like good, and then just to have sort of everything taken away from you just like that, it affects you, especially as I was 13. Like I'm 13. I'm a kid. I'm not used to this stuff. And then obviously one day I'm at the house I've been living in my whole life. The next minute I'm in a house with everyone crying and shouting at each other, not knowing what's going on really. And then it affects you. And I was depressed because I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't talk to anyone. I was scared to talk to anyone. And I just sort of sat there and soaked it up, which you shouldn't do.
King Henry School.
So, yeah, obviously I want to say thank you. I remember I was, 13?
Year 9.
No, was it? I think it was year 8. No, it might have been year 9 actually.
I thought it was year 9.
And then, how long was it? Like 6 months? Because you used to pick me up from...
Sorry if the brightness...
it was science, I think, always. And then I'd miss maths. And then, it was once a week.
So when I first met Billy, he was really quiet. He looked really nervous and found it really difficult to give me eye contact. Really difficult. But obviously, in that role, you just want there to be no pressure on the kids. So even sometimes, I don't know if we might have even sat and done some drawing on occasion while we were talking. We didn't do that?
I wasn't that bad. We didn't do that.
No, but for some people, it's just a way of being able to talk without that kind of, I'm sitting here really formally, feeling really awkward. Yeah. I mean, I tried to make the room so it didn't feel, it wasn't like this. It had like pictures of things that were
quite... It had like bean bags, it had like books. It was like a room.
Yeah. Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had lots of things that were personal to me. So I like ride old vintage bikes. So I had loads of posters on the walls and VWs and stuff like that, just so that it didn't feel so classroomy. It just felt more comfortable.
Good.
I mean, we did have a table that people could sit and work at, but there was not...
Yeah, because we've done you would do every, like now and then, you gave me like a little quiz thing like to do. It's like...
So that's an arcades form, yeah.
Let's tick the boxes and stuff.
Yeah. So an arcades form gives us an idea of how kids are feeling. So I think it's...
I think I've done 3 of them.
Yeah. You did actually. I was reading through. I was like, I made him do loads of those. So I think it's about 30 questions or 50 questions or something like that. And it's literally often, occasionally, never, but it gives you an insight as to how they're feeling. And you put it in a computer program, and it will tell you whether their levels are high for depression, anxiety, a variety. There's about 5 things. And although in the first one, I think Billy must have mentioned the word depression. So I probably did that score the first time because you'd mentioned that you felt that you were depressed. And I think you hadn't scored particularly high on anything. Nothing that jumped out and made me think, oh, maybe you need to go to CAMS, maybe that's, maybe a bigger thing.
As someone who's been having to have LSAs her whole entire life, this woman right here seems so lovely. Like, I can just tell she's just really good with people with like special needs, because obviously I'm basically one of them kids, and I just know if she was one of my LSTs, me and her would get on so well. She seems so genuine and lovely, honestly. So I just wanted to say that.
But towards the end, we did do a couple more. Sorry. And actually, I've written in my notes that the scores had come down, even though they weren't really high to begin with. And what was really noticeable when I was reading through was that you talked a lot about what was going on at home and how you felt about the relationships in the family and all that kind of stuff. And then towards the end, you were talking about football. Because actually, football was the thing that you loved, wasn't it? And that was you said on that day when
I don't know, I don't really understand.
Oh, I can't remember. You'd won something in your football team, and everything. And you said I was literally having the best time of my life, and everything just crashed.
Do you know what?
And
do you guys find that when you're having like a really good day, like just that one little thing can happen and boom, that's it? Or it's the other way around. Like on Monday, I was having such a shit day, like such a bad day, and then in the evening I meet KSI, and that wasn't even planned. That was all for fate doing that to me. It seems like a bit like what's happened here, but obviously, unfortunately for Billy, the other way around. But this woman seems really, really class. This woman.
That really nice day was tainted by the fact that everything went wrong after that.
Yeah. Well, luckily after it all happened, I won a few more trophies.
Good.
I had a few more best days of my life, I suppose.
Oh, good. But I remember saying to you, even when you were talking about football and your team doing well, and I said, but you don't seem particularly excited considering they won the cup, and you were like, yeah, I don't really, I feel it, but I don't really show it.
No, but I think when you go through a lot like depression and mental illnesses, I think you're not scared to show you're happy, but you don't want to like feel embarrassed or
you don't want to.
Because I remember I used to I'd smile and I'd laugh, but I'd make sure no one was there. Like I just sort of smile to myself. Like, I remember when I won the cup the second time, so like around a year after it happened, like in the pictures after, I look so sad. Then when I get in, I'm there like celebrating with myself. I'm just singing like.
And actually, that's in the notes where you said, and I think it was like one of our last sessions, and you said it was a year ago today that it had all gone like wrong for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see how like. To begin with, I've written a lot about what you've talked about, and then it kind of fizzles out like I don't really need to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
But there's a kind of comfort in coming and just having a chat and making sure you're still there if I need you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You make a difference. People like you do make a difference, and you can see it in the notes.
Well, seeing Billy today is very different because he's very smiley, and he looks very happy, and he looks very confident.
Yeah.
And eye contact, I don't think you've ever looked at me so much. But I always sit the chair so that we don't have to look directly at each other, so we kind of just sit at an angle and it's optional. But actually, you look like you feel much happier, I've got to say, you really do.
And do you feel happier?
Yeah, I'm in the best place I've ever been. Yes.
Yay!
So this is more in general, maybe not related to Billy. But someone watching this that might be struggling with depression, what advice could you give to them, maybe as this education figure?
Okay. I think if any young person thinks that they are depressed, the real temptation is to talk to your friends. And I'm not saying that friends are not useful, but your friends may not understand and may not give you the advice that you need. Sometimes, so here, quite often kids will say, you need to come and see a learning mentor, or you need to go and see someone, and they'll bring them. But some kids think that, oh, well, I felt a bit down once, so I know how you feel, and that's as far as that support goes. So I know it's really hard, and I do know it's really hard because I've worked with enough kids who struggle to come through the door, but go and see, so talk to an adult. It doesn't have to be your form tutor. It can be literally any person. It can be an aunt, it could be anyone. And it's really hard to talk to people directly who you think are going to be upset by what you've got to say. And I think if you're upset, and most teenagers are upset about things that have gone on at home, and then it's really hard to say to the people at home, I am upset because of this, because you feel like you're blaming them. You're worried about them.
I kind of feel like, just to add on to what she's saying, notice how she didn't say parents, because I feel like sometimes our parents, they don't actually understand where we're coming from. Like if we went to our parents right now and said, like, oh, I'm feeling really depressed, they'd be like, oh, what have you got to be depressed about? You've got this, you've got that, da, da, da. It's like, you don't get it. Like, it's not my fault. It's my brain. It's my mind telling me this. But no, she, like, what she's saying, I'm getting, like, I'm a bit emotional watching this, but what she's saying is really true.
And you don't want to upset them. And teenagers carry so much stuff around, and it literally is the hardest time of your life. There's never going to be a time where you're going to feel so awkward, out of place, like you don't fit in. You know, all those things, bashed in with a bit of puberty, and you know, and all the changes that go on in your life generally. Choosing options, being able to make choices for yourself. Choosing what you're going to do at sixth form, like it's the first real big choice you ever get to make, and we just go, there, you've done exactly what you've been told for forever, now make these choices that you feel are going to be like the rest of your life. So I think there's a lot of pressure on teenagers, and people grow up and they forget. Some of us just don't grow up.
I really
Some of us are scarred for life from our own teenage experiences.
Yeah, I felt that one also. Billy, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to say?
I think if you're, like you said, if you are struggling, then try and talk to someone like an adult. I think you can talk to your friends, but it's not as sort of beneficial. I think you should talk to if you can't talk to your parents, try and talk to someone at school, even at work or whatever. I think that does help.
I get what you're saying.
I also think it's harder for boys.
Yeah.
I think girls are more used to talking about how they feel with their mates.
Yeah.
And seeing stuff online and kind of...
Boys hide a lot more things.
But do you know what? It's a hard thing, not just at the time, but for you now, to kind of go back and revisit, because this is probably making you feel about some of the things that you felt way back then.
I sort of enjoy sort of this stuff, because I've done a mental health YouTube video. I've done the charity match, and then I'm doing this. I think it's.
And he's only.
I think I like sort of because it makes you remember where I was,
where you've come,
and then where I am now.
Yeah.
And if I said this when I got interviewed, if I can do it, I'm just a normal teenager. I'm not anything special. So I think if I can do it, then anyone can do it. That's what I'm trying to.
Did you actually talk to friends?
Not a bit, but not really. Because I think when you're sort of depressed, I think you want to talk to your friends, like you want to say something, but you don't want to sort of make it all about you. So I want to talk to my mates, but I wouldn't. I don't want to waste their time. I felt like I didn't want to like bother them or like go on and on about me when I'm with them. But I think as well as that, when I was with my mates, sort of them, they help distract me by not talking about it.
Yeah.
So like when I'll be playing football with them, just having a laugh in lessons, I think that helps.
When it comes to mental health, there's different aspects you can get from different people.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you're, especially when I was 13, so I think
so young.
Talking to your mates who are like immature,
Yeah.
don't really know what's going on. Like, I think they're there for more of a laugh.
Yeah.
But if you want a serious conversation about helping you, I think like an adult is more trustworthy. I think.
You didn't feel like, because I was a member of the school staff and not an external person, you didn't think maybe that made it less of a secure conversation?
I think no. I feel like because I never met you before,
Yeah.
so I feel like because I remember my mum. I said to my mum, I think I want to talk to someone, and she said
He seems like
she called the
very
school, and
close
then
with his
the
mum.
next day you came into science. I remember I was sitting there in science, and you went, "There's Billy Hayes here," and I didn't know what was going on. I was scared. I thought I was getting in trouble.
Who is this woman?
Yeah, but I think because obviously, like when you're in secondary school, you have to teach 3 subjects. I don't think I could have done it if it was one of them teachers because I'd seen them before. Or like my head of year, I don't think I could have done that because I've seen them all the time.
I agree with that.
So I think it's having someone, yes, you're in school, like you're a staff member, but a staff member that I didn't know of. I think that makes it
We were
easier.
kind of out of the way, weren't we? So what I was thinking is now we don't have that service at all, but what we have is mental health first aiders and counsellors that come in. But interestingly, you said you would find it difficult if it had been a member of staff, because the mental health first aiders are a sprinkling of all different staff around the school, including me, obviously. So actually, the kids that get offered it now could be offered their geography teacher or their form tutor or something.
I think it works different for different people. Like some people might feel comfortable with someone they recognise, but I think for a lot of people that I know that have gone through similar stuff to like with me, I think they feel that they can express themselves more with someone that doesn't know them. But it's people are different.
I agree with that.
And I think also, like when you're walking down a corridor, if you're unlikely at the time to have then seen me walking down the corridor. So if you've told me something that's quite big for you, there's no danger of walking down the corridor and thinking, oh my God, I hope she doesn't say anything because we're in public now. I mean, I never would anyway. But I think for some kids that if it's someone who's separate, they know that can't happen.
How did Billy step up when you were in prison?
Yeah, he was. He acted older than he actually was. He was. He sort of took on the mantle of me. When I come out, obviously it was very, very difficult for the family. I mean, I came out with a bag and a van. That's it. And I slept rough in the van for a while. I didn't see the boys for a week or two because I had to come to terms with 1 minute I had a house and a family, next minute I didn't. And this boy here, he looked after his mum, because you can imagine the grief from the other side of the family. My wife's family was very stressful. They didn't want to know me. They still don't. So this boy here, he had my back. Anything that was said about me, he was fighting my corner. But he was protecting his mother as well. Because me and his mother are still together. They can't handle that, but it is what it is. We're still a tight unit as a family, but I can always rely on him when Nan and Grandad say something. At the end of the day, I respect the fact that it still is Nan and Grandad, but because of the situation, obviously, when you've got children, you expect the children to be loyal to you. And he is loyal. It was a different. He'd come home from school and then his house had gone. And he was living with his nan and granddad, and his dad had gone to prison. So, and he is a daddy's boy. He's always been a dad's boy. So, to have me wrenched away from him, and then, the way we are now, we're closer now, aren't we? Than we was. Because he's grown up. He's 17, going to 25 years. I've got no problems with him when he has a family, because the way he's with his family, and his brothers and his mother. He stepped up, so I'm very proud of him. Very proud of him.
So how far from how you did originally kind of know Billy before you went to prison, then to now, how far has he come from father's perspective?
Oh, from his dad's perspective, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's, listen, it was my fault what happened to us. I had financial problems with my business. It collapsed. I went to see a financial advisor on recommendation, and he ripped us off, basically. But this boy's looked after, he still is, he's still looking after his mother and sisters now. sisters, brothers,
I was gonna
and
say,
you know, I can rely on him. He comes out to work, but you take from school. When he left school, he's gone to college. He's now got a job. He's doing things like this. He did that mental awareness football match. You know, raised money for that.
so
Didn't have to
proud
do
of
that.
you. And so
You know,
is your dad.
he comes to work with me. He helps his dad now and then.
What are the next steps for your family? Obviously, you're not living with them at the moment. What are the next
Well,
steps?
I'm pursuing a council route, but I've saved a lot of money for a deposit to rent a property out. But due to the circumstances of me being in prison and the man putting us in debt, I'm not creditworthy. So it's a horrible vicious circle. So I've saved a bit of money for a deposit. I'm looking now for a house, but I've reached out to the council. They don't want to know.
When I make it
You know,
big, and I mean on YouTube make it big, and I earn money on YouTube, I really just want to give this family a lot of money. Anything that could help them. If I could do it now, I would. I really would do it now.
send them the necessary documents and trying to get a house through them. Because the bottom line is we still are a family. You know, even though we're not living together, that's the only thing that's missing now. It's the final piece of the jigsaw. The debts are nearly gone. We just need to be back as a family, don't we, boy? And that would be it. I'm proud of myself as well because I've come out with nothing and now I've rebuilt everything.
Good.
You know, I've put it all back together for us. But the final piece is taking them off their nan and granddad and having them back with me. But that's it. We're at that stage now.
Nearly there.
Yeah, nearly there. Now, it took longer than I thought because you know, look at it from my perspective. This man got us a loan on our house. Then we sent him all the money back. We're not talking pennies. We're talking thousands of pounds, 40, 50 grand, and then he robbed us of it. So the debts that were paid off weren't paid off. So I've come out of prison and had to pay them off again. So yeah, but we're there. We're there. I'm pretty comfortable with the way we are at the moment. The only thing, obviously, for me, and particularly my children, is that Dad don't come home every night.
How often do you see your family?
Oh, Billy, I see when I want. Billy comes and goes when he wants. He's coming away with me next weekend to Liverpool. I'm taking. Yeah, I'm taking him. I've put Paris off for my son. See, I can take him up to Liverpool.
How about your other two? Your wife?
I have the children. I have the twins Friday, Saturday. I see everyone Sunday, don't we? We always have a family day Sunday. Birthdays, Christmas is always spent as a family. We try to keep us as a family as much as we can. Yeah, like I said, the only thing that's missing is we're not living together.
You've been through a lot, you know, with losing your home, to suffering with depression, to not being able to see your dad for a while. And amazingly, you're sitting here in front of me, you managed to hold on, push through it all.
Yeah.
What have you taken from this whole experience?
Obviously, I wanna look back at this whole thing. This is why I'm doing this. I wanna look back at this whole thing and say, I done this, and I can show this to my family and say, we done this. And I wanna help people. I wanna keep helping people. I wanna make a difference. And obviously, when this whole thing happened, I thought it was over. I thought I'd never see my dad again. I thought I'd never see my mum happy again. I thought it was over. I thought my life was ruined. And being able to come back from that, obviously I'm proud of myself.
Good.
I've never thought I'd be able to be in a position where I'm filming a documentary. Like, I'm just a normal teenager. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing charity matches, doing documentaries. But anything's possible, and that's what I want to get out there. I was at a point where I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to not be here, but now I'm the happiest I've ever been, and I'm showing what I can achieve, and if I can do it, anyone can do it.
I think this is going to help a lot of people, and I think you should be very proud of yourself. And I think
Hopefully.
your whole family are also very proud of you.
I'm
So
proud
well
of
done
you too.
for that.
Miss Leah and Adrian Haynes. Story. Oxford Studios. Oh, Billy, you should be so proud of yourself. I'm so proud of you. You've made me cry on YouTube the first time ever. Crying on YouTube. That was so inspiring. Like, that was really good. Like, I'm tearing up again. Like, I can't believe that actually happened. Like, to you at 13 years old, and all of that happened, and you're smiling and you're happy in today, and I just really hope everything with you and your family goes really well, and I really hope you all live with each other soon. And I just want to say I'm so proud of you. I really am. You've got me really tearing up here. That was so good. I'm so proud of you. I really am. Well done, Billy. Honestly, it takes a lot of balls to do that. Bye, guys. I hope you enjoy this. Make sure to check out Billy.